I can't believe it. This light is red. I'm not going to put up with this. I'm just going to wait till a good opportunity and I'm going to punch it. That's what I'm going to do. Woo! This is one way to get through a red light. Yeah. Oh, what? Jeez Christ. Cop's behind me. Cop is behind me. Wouldn't you know it? Great. Let me pull this over. Is there a problem, officer?
You ran that red light. You broke the law.
Yeah, well, it was red too long.
That's no excuse at all.
Oh, yeah.
No excuse.
Yeah, I know it's a law, but I was there for a long time. I mean, I feel like I waited long enough.
It's still the law.
Still the law, huh? Okay. Well, I guess that will answer some questions there. Yeah, we don't like the noise ordinance right now at Edisto either, but you know what? It's the law right now. So, until you change the law, there's nothing you can do about it except abide by it, unless you want to get a ticket like I just did.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you too. Okay, anyway, so basically, we should change by legislation, not humiliation. Stop putting these things up, disparaging our citizens for their right not to want to be interfered with by noise. I'm a musician. I missed a couple of gigs because of this ordinance. But am I crying over my beer or pounding my fist? No. If I want to do something about it, I'm going to go down to town hall. I'm going to ask when their next meeting is. I'm going to ask to get this on the books, and I'm going to ask to change it. Because I'll tell you why. You know, Edisto was a different town when this law was established. We're more of a resort town now, so maybe we should be able to bend up the time a little bit or whatever. And besides, there's the thing called a decibel meter, and that measures sound. Like, say, if you can be 20 decibels at 500 feet. I don't know the math to it, but there is a legal limit, and you can up it. But it has to be done through legislation, not humiliation. I would like your thoughts on this matter, so please, right here, send me your email to helloedisto@gmail.com and tell me what you think and how we should go about this new, huge problem. Music hasn't died. It's not the day the music died. It's the day you go to do something about it or you complain about it. That's just my thoughts, and I'm a musician. Hello, Edisto.
Hello, Edisto, and welcome to podcast number 9.
Number 9.
John?
Number 9.
Paul?
Number 9.
George Ringo. Ooh, that was scary. Oh, and speaking of scary, this is our Halloween special show. And we're going to go to the Presbyterian Church on Highway 174 and talk about some of the stories in that historic graveyard. Or is it cemetery? We'll tell you the difference in a little bit, probably during the podcast, between a graveyard and a cemetery. But hang on, because there's some bizarre stories in there. There are some factual stories in there, and there are some scary stories. And we're going to hear them all. So, hello, Edisto.
The marker just to the right of the worship center is a marker in memory, and it's marked number A, in memory of the passengers aboard the Pulaski. The Pulaski was a steamboat who took on passengers at Steamboat Landing, and they went up the coast to North Carolina. And the steamboat blew up. This engine, this boiler room had a blow up, and there were no survivors. So this monument here, number A, is dedicated to the memory of the passengers aboard, the Edisto passengers, maybe all of them, but the Edisto passengers aboard the Pulaski, and that happened in 1838. We're looking at marker B right now. It's said to be the earliest monument here, and it's dated October 2nd, 1785, and it is of the marker of Sarah DeVoe. I believe that's right. It's D-E-V-E-A-U-X. I believe that's DeVoe. And prior to the 1800s, most burial occurred on plantation grounds in family cemeteries. A cemetery is a graveyard that is not connected to a church. Wow, a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that till just then. Some of these sites are still around today. However, most have long been forgotten. The stone used at that time that was made to make this marker makes it very difficult to read the inscription. Standing right beside marker B is marker C. It's Robert Chisholm. He suffered from a terminal illness and committed suicide, which was very, very taboo back in the day. As a matter of fact, the church decided that he should not be buried here, but Mary Chisholm brought in brick at night and undercover buried her husband here, and basically kind of blocked it off and told the church, hey, that's not your church anymore, it's kind of my plot. So subsequently, it's not part of the church arrangement. And that satisfied the congregation, and she was allowed to bury her husband here. And Mary, I believe that is her marker right there beside him, as a matter of fact. And that's quite a story. Suicide is very prevalent these days, and of course we all know that there are many illnesses that were not thought of as illnesses, but as sicknesses, human sicknesses, and taboo, which thank God we've gotten past that. But let's move on. Marker D here is the family plot of Reverend William States Lee. You can see the wooden fence here, and it's kind of surrounded. It goes around there. That is the family plot. Now, Reverend William States Lee served as the minister here at this church, the Presbyterian Church, for 51 years, from 1821 to 1872. He was the first minister to preach in the sanctuary and the first to live in the current manse. The manse is, of course, the little housing that they established for the reverends, and still to this day do that. Let's move on. Marker E belongs to Providence Michael. I believe it's Michael. It's Mikel. The distinctive feature of this grave site here is that you'll see a lot of the markers have the epitaphs written on top of them, and obviously they were pretty well to do. Some say that the epitaph on Providence's marker here was actually a eulogy done by Reverend States Lee, who we just visited. Very, very lovely. Do you know that there are no bodies buried above ground here? This is basically a facade that was pretty much, I think, ripped off from New Orleans, where they pretty much do have to bury a lot of people above ground because of the sea level. Let's move on.
We are going to continue with the filming of the graveyard. I'm going to get right back to it, but I'm going to tell you a very scary thing is about to happen during this filming that I totally didn't expect. I believe it's paranormal, actually. It's called an EVP, an electric voice phenomena. Right when I started going through the children's gravesite onto the Julia Legare Crypt, the monument where the little girl was buried alive, be listening very careful. Turn up your volume when you hear right before the line, and I'll give you a little cue saying listen for it in the film footage coming up. But I'll be at the crypt and I'll be saying, "Oh yeah." I'll pause. "How do they know she was buried alive?" I pause. "I'll tell you." And then listen at the screeching that goes on, and I believe that was Julia Legare's moaning and groaning or trying to reach out. I need you to help me figure this out. Hello, Edisto.
We're standing behind the cemetery, but not directly behind it, off to the side, off to the right if you're looking at the cemetery. And this is a good way to judge where the children's graveyards are, because they're not marked right now. It's usually distinguished by a marker. But right here, there's the Bailey's graves. And if you'll look just to the right of the Bailey's graves, all these little markers belong to little people, children that died as a result of anything from yellow fever to malaria, you name it. There was all kind of badness and no ways of curing it. But it's a very sad story. These are just among a few of the people that were young and did not make it. And we're going to walk to the Julia Legare Crypt. This is legendary. Julia Legare was a young girl, and it is said that she caught yellow fever, which made her respiration real slow, her pulse rate really not measurable. And back in the day, you had to go bury your people pretty quick for obvious reasons. So they interred her at the family crypt here. And I've been inside already today, and there's no treats left for her. Usually people leave lollipops, teddy bears, dollar bills, shells, stuff like that. But nothing today. But we're going to see if we can get Julia Legare to talk to us today. Here's the crypt. Oh yeah, how did they know she was buried alive? I'll tell you. Because her bones were at the door when they went to bury her brother who died in the Civil War. They went to bury him here, took the tombstone away, or the doorstone away, and boom, there were her bones. She was scratching on the door. They left scratch marks on the inside, or she did. And here it is. That is said to be the door. No family remains are left in here. But we're going to take a look around, and we're going to see some of the inscriptions. And there is Miss Julia Legare. Wow. And Hugh Legare and John Legare. I suppose one of the others was the Civil War death, but that was Julia right there. And it's quite a sight. As you can see, it's a rounded top, and it's quite scary. I'm going to be real quiet and see if we can't get Julia Legare to give us what's called an EVP, an electric voice phenomena. They're not usually heard, these EVPs, by human ears, but lots of times on the recording devices. So I'm going to put the camera on Julia right now and say, Julia Legare, talk to me. Julia, would you like to say something to us? I didn't hear anything, but we'll see when we get home if anything was heard.
Although I didn't hear the screaming during the making of that video, I certainly heard it on the playback. So what do? Here you've got your little girl, her bones at the door of the crypt, and you've got a dead body right in your hands practically, about to put it in the crypt. I suppose as a family they were quite shook up. They probably had to grieve for quite a while, but what do you do with this body? Hey, I guess they went ahead and put Julia back in there, bones anyway, and then interred the body. But they did put the door back on, and when that happened, it kept flying off. Legend says 3 or 4 different times that door flew off. And you know, some people say it's somewhere in that graveyard, in the back of it. Hey, if you find it, let us know. But some people say it's cemented in the tomb itself. I don't know. It must have been a terrible situation, but let's continue the tour of Halloween. Hello, Edisto.
Notice the ornate iron fences and the stately, huge monuments. And these monuments here appear to be broken off. Well, there's a reason symbolically for that. It's to symbolize a broken off life. These are among the most influential, affluent people on the island. Names such as, I'm going to read this because these people are still here. I mean, we still got a lot of them. Names such as the Seabrooks, the Baileys, the Michaels, the Murrays, and the Whaleys. And if you'll notice, the Seabrooks has the beautiful oak log and the ornate, I guess those are vines. It's just beautiful, and they are a lot older than I am, believe it or not. But it's just some of the beauty that lies within this historic graveyard off of 174 highway on Edisto Island. Let's continue. Here is a true fascinating alert. Grave I, the raised brick grave site that's just behind the sanctuary. This is the grave of Arthur Alfred Gilling. I believe that's right, is Gilling. And he was shot to death by a Mr. Bailey. And this is where they buried him. Why was he shot? I'll tell you, because back then boys will be boys. And they would meet and have great times in Edingsville at the beach. And then there's an argument that ensued. And Mr. Gilling and Mr. Bailey got into an argument, and they challenged each other to a duel. Well, Mr. Bailey was a horrible marksman. He was not expected to win this. Mr. Gilling was an expert marksman and was just a shoe-in. So they went to a place called the Sands on Edingsville Beach. And what happened was Mr. Bailey surprised everybody by killing Mr. Gilling dead. Yes. And so Mr. Bailey actually took a surgeon and a mattress down there to the Sands, expecting fully for his body to be put on there and brought back here and buried. But it seems though Mr. Gilling got the ride back to the church and to the burial grounds of Burial Ground I in Edisto Island Presbyterian Church. Let's move on. Take notice of this beautiful but small prayer chapel that was constructed back in the early days for the higher ups of the church to come and talk things out for meetings. Lots of these meetings would get very heated. And you know how the boys settled their arguments back then? Yes, sir, with a duel. Yep, we're going to shoot it out. So the church had this building built to such small dimensions that it would not allow, let's go inside, shall we? It would not allow, wow, for the 10 paces it takes to challenge somebody to a duel. I'm going to pace it off here. I think a pace is just a normal step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoop. Can't turn around and shoot in 7 paces, that's for sure. But isn't this wonderful, the history of this beautiful grave site? It's just gorgeous. And we're going to go on to a really, really not scary, but strange, defiant story. Come along with me. Well, I almost missed one. I don't want to miss this one. We'll go to the defiant story in a second. But this is right in front of the worship center we just saw, the little chapel. And this is a monument that was dedicated to all the people, the rich to-dos, well-to-dos, that donated their land and their wealth to the assurance that this church would not only survive, but go on and thrive. Now, let's go to this next place, where is a story of school teachers from up north. Let's go now. Possibly one of my favorite stories, without a doubt, is the 3 school teachers who came from up north during the occupation of the South. Notice which way their headstones are turned. They're turned facing away from the southern evil folks that occupied this graveyard. And not only that, it was also very important for them to be as far away from the Southerners, the evil ones, as they could possibly be. So that's what happened. And all 3 of these school teachers died when they were going to a Christmas dinner in the rowboat, of all things. They were crossing the St. Pierre Creek. Is it a creek or river? St. Pierre Creek, yeah. And their rowboat turned over, and their friends buried them here, but also put the little fence around that as to say, symbolically, we're not even a part of you, and we're going to face the opposite direction of you. Wow, we've come a long way since then, I think. Thanks for enjoying this Halloween special of the Presbyterian Church Graveyard Tour. Hello, Edisto. On August 19th of this past year, we did a thing at the Edisto Civic Center called the James Lee Jamerson Bass Symposium. Lots of Motown songs and lots of talented singers, and all local. So we couldn't do the same show again, although people were saying, hey, please do us another show. So we're going to do that. We're going to do it the day after Thanksgiving. I believe that is November 24th, Friday, and it'll be at Big Bay Creek Park, or Bay Creek Park. And I believe the event runs from 3:30 until like 9:30. And it's going to be great. As a matter of fact, I've got a few clips from just like our first practice. And if we're that good at our first practice, imagine what you're going to hear showtime. So enjoy the clips, and hello, Edisto. Now that's a high energy show, and I'm telling you, you're going to kick yourself if you miss it. Once again, it's called Bridging the Gap for a reason. We're going to bridge the gap on everything on Edisto, between races, religions, colors, orientations, creeds, whatever the hell creed is, but we're gonna bridge it all together. We don't care what you look like, smell like, or feel like. Yeah, you don't even say that. You're welcome to come out to this. Once again, the website is Edisto Music Festival, and it's called Bridging the Gap. And before I go, I'd like to say that I do drive a shuttle on Edisto called Cleverly Edisto Island Shuttle, and I take passengers from time to time, and they are also very wonderful. And this group of people, group of pickleballers who came from somewhere. Anyway, I can't remember where, but they were adorable, wonderful people. Right, and when they got in the car, they asked, where's the pickleball courts? And I said, well, we don't pickleball here, but was I ever wrong? There's a big underground welling of pickleball players here, which is really kind of cool. But anyway, they did this for me and sent me the picture, and I'm going to show it right now. There it is. Isn't that beautiful? They drew in the sand very cleverly, hello, Edisto, and even my name. Thank you guys very much. You can also send me something from wherever you are representing Hello Edisto, and we'll get your picture up there as well. So anyway, lots of fun to be had. And oh yeah, even Mayor Crawford Moore is going to be there at this festival with his Bluegrass group. That's going to be smack dab full of fun for sure. So the people, the places you love and you know. Till next time, hello Edisto.